Welcome to Real Reviews. This week's reviews are brought to you by thefilmgordon.com. Experience film through the eyes of a true film addict. I am Tim Gordon, editor of thefilmgordon.com. And on this show, we discuss my views on upcoming films. You can also read and listen to past reviews on thefilmgordon.com. This week, we review several films that were screened at the Middleburg Film Festival. And up next, Concrete Cowboys. Now, this is a Western drama directed by Ricky Staub from a screenplay by Staub and Dan Walser, based on the novel Ghetto Cowboys by Greg Neri. It stars Idris Elba, McLaughlin, Jharrel Jerome, Lorraine Toussaint, and Byron Bowers, along with Method Man. Now, this film spotlights a 15-year-old boy from Detroit who is sent to live with his estranged father in Philadelphia and learns about the local urban cowboys. Now, I've seen a lot of movies over the course of my, 3-decade career as a critic. And even before that, an additional 10 to 15 years while I was just watching movies. And I can honestly say that this is a screenplay concept I'm not familiar with at all. I mean, I wasn't familiar with the real story, but the fact that a Western happens in the inner city, in the city of Philadelphia, who knew? But this story, which is at its roots is a coming of age story, as I said, tells the story of a young boy who's really struggling after his parents' divorce. His mother, who is up to her end, basically says, I can't do this anymore. I'm going to take you to live with your father. And she takes him, she takes his bags, his belongings that he has out. She puts him on her father's porch and won't even let this kid say goodbye. She just bounces and just leaves him in the middle of the street in Philadelphia late at night. He enters his father's home, and the first thing that's a little jarring is that there is the house, the living room has a stable in it, where there's an actual horse in the house. And so it begins this really awkward kind of back and forth between Cole, who's played by McLaughlin, who, a lot of people may remember from Stranger Things, and Idris Elba is his father, who is Harp. And before he can participate and take part, there's some healing that has to happen between father and son. And the film kind of does a really good job. The screenplay does a really good job of showing the conflict between the two, that he really doesn't want to be there. He doesn't trust his father, doesn't even like his father. His father understands that, he's going to treat him harshly and not necessarily embrace him initially, but, let him kind of find his way. And many of the actors in the film, some which are actual real folks who are part of this culture in Philadelphia, kind of embrace him, walk him through, and help him learn that before he can even take on a horse of his own, that he has got to work up to that by doing the chores that a lot of these cowboys do during the day. Now, one of the other parts that's really interesting that foreshadows a lot in the story is that one night when he leaves his father's house in a huff, he stumbles into what he thinks is an empty building, which is actually a stable that houses all the horses. And one of the horses that is the most troublesome, that everyone's afraid of, is a horse by the name of Boo, which is the stable that Cole finds himself in. And over the course of, several awkward minutes, the two bond. And that bond would be instrumental much later in the second and third acts, as he becomes the guy or the only person that this horse will trust. So also, I got to give a lot of credit in this screenplay. I mean, not in the screenplay, but in the ensemble, that Idris Elba, I think, is solid in this film. Lorraine Toussaint, who does an amazing job always in almost every project she works in. Jharrel Jerome, who follows up his Emmy win from When They See Us and his work in Moonlight, is back as Cole's only friend, who many are trying to warn him off because, this guy's going down a bad road you don't need to go to. And their friendship is really something important because there's going to be other acts that will be triggered in the second and third act, which kind of, and again, there's this delicate tap dance trying to explain these films sometimes without trying to give them away. But ultimately, I think Concrete Cowboys is a story that I was very anxious to see. I checked it out, and I will honestly say that I think the story, the concept behind it, with what these cowboys are going through in the inner city. You got Method Man back again, or Clifford Smith, I should call him now, because he's a lot more than just Method Man. But Clifford Smith plays a former member of this culture who was also a police officer. And he is there to sort of provoke, but yet protect what it is that they're trying to build, as many of them are living in houses, would be kind of described as squatters. They're living in these homes and they're renting them, but the city wants an end to this culture. So there's this constant back and forth between the residents and landlords in this area as well. So I thought this coming of age story and the bonding between father and son, the relationship of him finding love out there, the fences being mended between him and his mother. I thought there was a lot in this film that was really, really good about Concrete Cowboys. There's not much bad about the film. I mean, this was a film that emotionally hit me in my sweet spot. And I love the performances. I love the story. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, for me, when I say films are predictable, it's because I'm kind of reading the breadcrumbs as they're leaving them in the story, and certain things are foreshadowed from Act 1 to Act 2. So you sort of get an idea where a story is going, but just because you get an idea doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Concrete Cowboys is a movie that I thought was one of the best of the fest, and I think I saw about a dozen films in 3 days. This was a highlight for me. Not necessarily Idris Elba's film, but Caleb McLaughlin continues to stretch and grow as an actor. Method Man, as I said, continues to stretch and grow as an actor. Lorraine Toussaint reminds me a lot of Felicia Rashad, as she comes in and sort of anchors a project. And I really liked her work in this film, which I thought was really solid. I give a solid B to Concrete Cowboys. Unfortunately, this film, which premiered at TIFF back in September this year, has yet to secure a distributor or a release date. So unfortunately, I can't give you any idea of when you can see Concrete Cowboys, but trust me, once a release date once they have a release date for the film, I will roll this review out again, because I think it's that important, and I think it's a film that deserves to be seen. So, as I tell you guys every week in closing, please see something good at the movies. Unfortunately, you cannot see Concrete Cowboys anytime soon. Sorry. But until you do, please find something else good to watch at the movies, and we will definitely see you on the other side. You enjoy your evening.